大家好，欢迎收看今天的节目，我是主持人杨烨。9月5号，在萨摩亚的首都阿皮亚举行了第48届南太平洋岛国论坛领导人会议。今天呢，我们也非常荣幸地邀请到了萨摩亚驻北京大使馆大使 Terry 和他的朋友 Bruce 来参加今天的节目。欢迎您 ，Welcome to TV33.
Thank you very much, Mia. It's good, pleasure to be here today.
Thank you, Mia.
Last week, the leaders of Pacific they gathered in Samoa. Could you please share your feelings and comments about it?
Well, last week was a busy week in Samoa. We attended the Pacific Islands Forum in Samoa. And, the Pacific Islands Forum consists of 18 members, including New Zealand and Australia, at the heads of government level. So they met in Apia last week to discuss regional issues of priority to the Pacific region, which includes security, climate change, the environment, of course, fisheries, and some of the other socio-economic issues of priority to the region. And they will highlight and prioritize the issues for the next year, the program issues for the next year. And the meeting, the summit, was chaired by the Samoan Prime Minister.
Which issue do you concern the most when you take part in that summit?
For Samoa and a lot of the Pacific Island countries, climate change was very important because it's a global issue, it's a global concern, a global problem that we're faced with, and especially the Pacific Island countries who are vulnerable to natural disasters. So that is a very high priority issue. As you know, last year the Pacific Island countries endorsed the Paris Climate Change Accord, and we've given priority to that agreement and the push behind it to ensure that implementation is carried forth. Because of climate change is very important to the Pacific. We've seen a lot of Pacific Island countries being vulnerable to natural disasters, which affect agriculture, the output, economic growth, food security, and also the marine environment. So it has a huge impact on the livelihood of the Pacific Island countries. That's why climate change is so important to Pacific Island countries as a whole, including Australia and New Zealand, of course. Yeah.
And as we know, Samoa is a very beautiful country. Could you please introduce us more about that country?
Yes, Samoa is one of the oldest island countries in the region. We have a long history. Dates back 2,000 to 3,000 years. That's why they call the meaning of the word Samoa is Sa means sacred, and Moa means center. So it literally means the sacred center of the Pacific, because Samoa is right in the middle of the Pacific. And we have a long history and tradition that very rich in culture. Our culture is very rich, and similarly with all the Pacific Island countries. So it's a beautiful country, very authentic. I encourage the Chinese community in New Zealand to visit Samoa, because I think many of you have not been to the Pacific Island countries, or to Samoa at least. So I encourage the Chinese community to visit the Pacific Island countries, especially Samoa, and see the environment, the history, and the culture of the Samoa. We have very pristine beaches, and the natural environment is so beautiful. So there's much to see there. So I would like to invite the Chinese community in New Zealand to go there for a holiday, like Bruce here, and enjoy Samoa. I'm sure they'll like it.
So Bruce has traveled to Samoa. Could you please share your feelings when you travel in Samoa?
Well, I'm a Kiwi, so I went with my wife to Samoa as a guest of the ambassador, and I had a great time. I learned a lot about Samoa. I ate some nice food, fresh fish and lobsters. It's a beautiful place to go for a holiday.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome.
Okay. Terry, what do you look forward to achieve between the cooperation between China and Samoa? For example, in the tourism or trade area?
Yes, we have a long relationship with the People's Republic of China. It goes back to 1975 when the diplomatic relations were started back then in 1975. We are one of the first Pacific Island countries to establish diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China. So it's been a long but our people-to-people relations with China goes all the way back to the late 1800s. Since then, the Chinese were in Samoa a long time ago as merchants, some as sailors. So the people-to-people link goes way back. But diplomatic relations started in 1975, and since then the relationship between China and Samoa have been very close. And the economic cooperation between the two countries, the bilaterals are very close. China has done a lot of provided economic assistance to Samoa over the years, and we're trying to boost investment between the two countries and also the trade, and as well as the tourism, because the China outbound tourism is very huge, as you know. Last year, 120 million Chinese tourists went overseas, and we're trying to get some of that number to come to the Pacific, because Samoa and the Pacific as a whole are largely unknown to many Chinese travelers. So we're trying to encourage and promote the Pacific in China to visit Samoa. That's why we're very keen to be here, to talk to you also about the Chinese community in Auckland, in New Zealand, to encourage them to visit the Pacific and see more of the Pacific, the tourists, because we have a large a Chinese community in New Zealand. So we encourage you to visit the Pacific and encourage you to enjoy the tourism hospitality that we offer in the Pacific and also in Samoa.
Okay, Bruce, so you have traveled to Samoa and you like it. What do you think that Samoa attracts you the most?
Very safe to go for a holiday there, walk down the streets. The people are very friendly and helpful. I had a great time, and I think my wife did too. I recommend it's a good place for tourists to go or do some investment in the country.
And Terry, what do you think does the Samoa attract the foreign investors and the tourists the most?
For tourism, it's the culture, the people, and the environment. Those are the main attractions for tourism. And we're trying now to establish some direct flights from China to Samoa. I think there's a big need for that, because normally Chinese tourists like to fly direct to destinations. So we're looking at that, trying to have start with charter flights during the Chinese New Year also. And hopefully we can do the same from New Zealand, get the Chinese community to go to Samoa for a holiday during that period. But in investment, we're trying to have investment in agriculture, in hotel investment, so those are very important to us. In fisheries, we already have fishing companies from Shenzhen and other Chinese places who are already in Samoa to invest in the tuna industry. So that's very important, because there's a huge market in China for that. And also in some of our agricultural products like nono and marine products. So I think there's a lot of potential in growing the investment in Pacific, because we have a lot of rich resources in the marine resources and agriculture. And there's a big market in China for everything. So.
There are a lot of Chinese people travel overseas. 谢谢我们的大使 Terry 和我们的 Bruce 的分享。那我们今天也再次感谢他们来到我们的会客厅，谢谢 ，Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. 谢谢你。
谢谢你。